Hello, beloved ones. It's an amazing, beautiful Wednesday, and it's one of those times. And I love the topic for today, using pleasure as a source of power and insight. Join me on this beautiful circle and let's talk about pleasure and how you can use pleasure as a source of power and insight. I love this. And as I asked you, have you ever thought or wondered why the most pleasurable things have an element of shame? When you talk about money, you want it, but you're afraid of it. What if I have it and then I'm not myself? What if I have it and then I get to be a bad person? What if, there is just like this fear, I want it, but I'm afraid of it. Um, but yet money is energy, and also money is the currency that we use to buy amazing experiences that we want. But we're afraid of it. And when you don't have it, again, it has an element of shame. And still with sex, it's one of those things um, that has an element of shame. But again, it has this amazing experience where we kind of, when we are in it and doing it, we lose ourselves in it. But there is at the back of our mind where it feels not safe for you to do it. And talking about sex, even pleasure, what is one thing that connects us to that? It's our body. Without the touch, even a baby cannot survive. That's the way that we give that little baby some love. We touch it, we appreciate it, and even us as adults, we need it. How often do you just sit with yourself and embrace yourself and embrace your body and touch yourself? And when you talk about the body, it also has that element of shame. Join me on this day and just take a breath and feel that energy in your pelvic bones around your womb space, and just feel in there and just move a little bit, just appreciating being in your body, just appreciating your organs, and celebrating yourself for taking time to just be here and join this. And whenever that you're watching this, or wherever you are watching it from, I'd like you to share below, where are you watching this from? And what comes to your mind when you just hear using pleasure as a source of power and insight? When you talk about shame, what are the memories that are coming through when you just hear the word shame? Because shame instantly eliminates and disconnects us from source. And we know when it comes to money, it also has that element that there is that if I have money, I might forget who I am. I might forget to connect, or I might not find my place in the kingdom of God. It still has that connection to source. And even sex, it has that element of fear of committing a sin, fear of not being able to find your place in the kingdom of God because you had sex. And it's all pleasure. And what a way to really cripple us and disconnect us from source, where the abundance comes from, where the joy comes from. Because when we are thriving in shame and always shaming ourselves, our body and all that, we get disconnected. And through our body, our soul get to experience and connect to the earth. And we are here, alive, walking the earth, but we are disconnected to one thing that is here, that we are walking, which is the body that is here. And that is what we are here to experience ourselves as, this human, this body. And for us to easily manifest what we desire, it's easier when we are right here and we can connect to the resources that are here on this planet. But with shame, we disconnect fully. And then it just comes the mind where it's kind of like, I desire to have this, but at the same time, you are fearful of it. Oh my God, what if I'm not accepted? What if I'm rejected? What if I don't belong? What about my family? What about the society? All the whatever the conditioning that we've been brought into, whatever, because we have that list, whether you have it physically or in your subconscious mind, there is something that you measure yourself upon, especially when it comes to shame and how we are brought up. Because I was brought up as a Christian with a mixture of African tradition. But before we can just jump in that, I'd like us to come to our mutual agreements. Because when we are meeting here in this circle, whenever you're watching this, just imagine we are holding each other's hands. And you can turn around and look at each other's eyes. I see you. And whatever that you're going through, I see you. And I'm just here to hold space to let you know that you deserve to speak your truth. You deserve to be heard. And I see you and I hear you. Even in your silence, when you are not really expressing yourself, I hear you. And as we are sitting here, we are not sitting here to fix each other. We have that mutual agreement that we are responsible, we are powerful and strong. And that means I see you in your wholeness. I see you in your beauty. I see you in your sensuality. I see you opening up to embrace the pleasure that your body is ready to share with you if you are open to receive it. We share that mutual agreement that we speak our truth. We are no longer going to be silenced. We have that mutual agreement to say it's time we show up unapologetically. And we are action takers. Because when we are responsible and whole, as I trust that you are, and I see you in that wholeness, I know your mission is your expansiveness, it's your evolution, it's your growth. And when we sit together, it's just to share the space so that you can expand more, you can evolve, you can align with your truth. And whatever action that you take it, not because you are broken, just because you have the desire to grow. There is more that you want to express. Whatever that your soul wants to express and experience in this lifetime, it's you raising your hand and saying, I am not going to sit back. I am taking responsibility of my growth. I am whole. I'm enough. I am love embodied. I deserve to connect with my body so that my soul can experience and connect to the earth. Let's just breathe in all of that as we embrace our presence and we are holding each other's hands and we are holding the space to say that whatever that this conversation is bringing up, it's safe for you to go through that process because you are powerful and strong. You are whole. You are aligned with your truth and you are an action taker. And for me, that's being your queen. And even now, when we are meeting, talking about using pleasure, it's us really owning and saying, my pleasure is my responsibility. I'm no longer going to look outside of me for something else to bring me pleasure. It's you connecting with your body, connecting with the womb space, connecting with your creativity. Because when we say using pleasure as a power of source and insight, because when we talk about pleasure, I wonder which part of you just kind of relax into that when you talk about pleasure. Because for me, I'm just anchoring more in my womb. This is where my energy is just taking, and I'm anchoring into that, and I'm just feeling that. Even when I talk about passion and purpose, where does that connect? I'm feeling the pleasure in my sexual organs, and I truly believe that our passion and purpose is connected to our sexual organs. And you can imagine, if you have an experience, abuse, whatever trauma that you experienced, then you've just cut that, and our womb is just connected directly with our heart, where there is just that love and influence. And the moment we just cut there, obviously, automatically, we close the heart. We are not able to love fully. We are not able to make to be influential or to make any impact, because we are just there in our shame. We're just creating whatever that, even our creativity. Because when you talk about the womb space, it's that space that connects us to our emotions. And for you to easily create and bring something into physical form, it is the emotions, like feeling. Emotions are connected to the inner child, and the inner child is a feeler and the seer. She has that vision. So when you have those unresolved issues of shame, as I spoke about me growing up in an environment where there was that Christianity, and I'm just saying Christianity because there is an element of that, but it was more kind of like the rules and all that were chosen from Christianity, and some were picked up from the African tradition, and there was a mixture of that. And at the core of my being, there is a part of me that didn't come here to experience those rules. So I just felt suffocated from both sides. And as a woman, ah, we know, especially when you talk about shame, sex, money, it's kind of like those are the things that sex, a man has to decide. A man is the one who is responsible when to have it. And they have this, for a long time, they had this freedom to have sex with whoever they choose. And as a woman, it's something that you don't know when. You just have to wait. And it also had that element of shame. And money is also something that we kind of, for many generations, we're looking for a man to provide. So we're still tiptoeing around the money. We're still tiptoeing around sex. We're still tiptoeing around pleasure. We still, when it comes to the body, it's kind of, we have to look outside of us. Is it acceptable for me to wear this? Is it acceptable for me to feel this? Is my body enough, beautiful enough, sexy enough, and all that? We're looking outside. Is someone outside there interested in me? And we don't give ourselves the pleasure that our body needs. Our body, as much as it is ours, it's kind of like it's a foreign thing to us. This is why I asked in this tribe before, how often do you just dress up in that sexy lingerie just for you? Just for you to appreciate, embrace you, to touch you, to feel you, to tag and do all sorts of things for you. Because you are this important person. This body is your body. How often do you do that? When it comes to shame, it's quite interesting. When it dawned on me to say sensuality or that sexual energy, I'm a womb worker. When it dawned on me, all of this, I'm telling you, I cried. I was like, wow, that was a big revelation when it's everything just came together, because I was in a space where I was in love with my body. I was comfortable, see myself naked. I was taking that responsibility as a queen to give myself the pleasure that I need, instead of waiting for it from a man. And what I remember is that as when I was young, just because of the way I showed up. Many times I was called names just for being me and radiating that energy that I was just coming, that sensual energy, even looking at some people in the eye. It was kind of like I want to sleep with them, or what it was confused for that sexual intimacy and all that. And even us as women, how often do you get threatened by a woman showing up in her confidence? And even if she greets you or she greets your partner or whatever, you kind of like feel like, don't you dare look at this person, you know? It's like, and it happens when you are not comfortable with yourself. Or at times you just show someone showing up, embracing all that they are, being here, taking that step, owning that space, and a part of you just get irritated. That's the same. That for me, that's the same thing that happened with women in my life, where many times I was accused even of not finishing my school because they saw me pregnant, they saw me sleeping with boys before I could even give a peck on a boy or something like that. And immediately for me it was like, oh, I had this shame of just me being me. I had this shame of my sexual energy. I had this shame about even having my period. Because as much as it's a beautiful celebration when you get your first menstruation, there is the first thing for me. It was just like, oh, and majority of us, I don't know if it happened to you, and I'd like you to share whenever you are watching this, where the first thing is like, when this happens, now that you are having your menstruation, when you sleep with a boy, you're gonna fall pregnant, and there's nothing to celebrate about it. There is nothing for you to embrace this stage that is being marked by this natural thing of you having your menstruation. It's like, oh, something bad is gonna happen. And there is this whole fear again of being, especially if you went through an abuse or trauma or molestation, you carry that energy. And with our children, we already project that fear of something bad happening to them that happened to us. And the more we just dive into it, the more you process it, the more you are fearful. We are recreating this not only for us but for our children. And we also try to suppress them showing up in their light and embracing that sexual energy by criticizing. It's kind of like the mind. It's kind of like twisted protection, unhealthy protection, because we have not worked it on it for ourselves. So therefore, the only way we think of protecting our children is like criticizing them. Dress up, cover your body. It's not safe. Don't touch a boy. Whatever, and we just cut them off from themselves because already they just learned that, oh, it's not safe. You just getting some breast. Oh, you getting some breast. It's like, oh, you know already there is that separation that is just happening from childhood, and that was my experience. And it went to body shaming, and it develops into this rebellious action where you kind of like get to do something just because you have to oppose what has always been forced on you. You don't even get the time to sit and say, what do I want, and there's no one to even discuss that with. Probably you have you maybe for you, we're fortunate enough to have someone that you can have this kind of conversations with. But for me, it was all shame, shame, shame. And then you go to the church, it was still again this whole um having sex and all that. It had also that element of sin, shame, you know. So when do we really get to embrace ourselves? When do we really get to feel the pleasure and start creating from pleasure? Because when you talk about pleasure, it has an element of sacrifice. This is why the word that is embraced out there is kind of like, you have to hustle, you have to give up something. It's like you can't just create and continue to enjoy it. Even when you create, there's that element of, oh my God, what am I gonna lose? Or when you create and then you become fearful. Even if it's money, you hold into it, and and you are waiting for the next time that you're gonna lose it. And it's quite interesting because when you have issues with money, the part that you really feel that it's kind of like around your waist, and it's kind of like it disconnects you with like your upper body disconnect with your lower body, just around the waist where you kind of like, oh, my waist is, and all that, because you don't really feel that the waist is kind of like that place where you it's around the womb. It's your creativity, it's your soul message power center, it's your money power center, so just right there is that disconnection that happens with the lower body. And you can imagine with the lower body, we're talking about the feet. That's kind of like that's your foundation. Your root chakra is like there in your lower body, where you feel safe and you start creating and you bring things into physical form. Because even when you talk about the lower body, it's your feet that touch the earth, that connects with that. When you are sitting on a chair, it's it's your butt that really holds you when you are sitting in that. Even when you talk about s- sexual energy, we're just feeling it around that pelvic area, around our sexual organs. And that's where everything just gets disconnected. I want you to sit with that. Just take a breath, because the breath is something that also connects us with the body. And whatever that this thing has brought up, I would like you to just sit in there and just move your waist, move your body, allow yourself to feel. At times you can just give you just feel, and whatever, if you're feeling like I'm uncomfortable with this conversation, just sit with that and just invite your body, because your body might be lighting up, some sensations are coming up, or you are frowning, or whatever that is just showing up. That's your body just showing you some of the imprints that you're still holding into, that are holding you back from creating, from pleasure, as I call it, orgasmic creation, orgasmic money. you know just take a breath and just anchor into your womb space, and just imagine just cultivating that pleasure from within. Because what is taught out there is kind of like you get to imagine, and that mostly works for men. And as for us women, we bring in the desire, we bring in the feeling. That's how we anchoring it. We bring in the flow, and then we can bring in the imagination later. But it's more powerful to manifest when you are connected to it and make love with what you desire. What is it when you talk about this using pleasure as a source of power and insight? And it's a source of power because it connects you to source. It's your body, you are in your body, you connect you to source. It connects you to your soul message. Your soul message. It connects you to your creativity center, your creativity center. It connects you to your money. And what is more powerful than that? You connect to your inner child. Instead of you desiring to do something, your inner child is throwing a tantrum, going the other side. These are the things that when you work with, then the money, the body is on board, the heart is on board, the inner child is on board. You can really feel it, and you invite your mind as well. And the inner council is just celebrating and ready to do it. You eliminate the self-sabotage. Because at times self-sabotage is just that your mind wants to do something, your heart is not in agreement with it. It's not part of your soul message. Your body's like, oh no, I'm not ready for that. Have you really looked at me? And you don't even look at your body. You are busy desiring something that is outside of you. And yet your body is just screaming to be loved by you, screaming to be touched by you. Mm. I love the sound. I love the breath. Because when you're eating something and you're enjoying something, when you talk about pleasure, whether it's chocolate or whatever, that is just that just comes with it. Even when you're making love, that is just like when you're just feeling whatever that is just coming through. That's pleasure. Even when you're eating something, you just tasting it, and then there is just that moan that just comes through, that sound that just comes through when you're just feeling it, and that sound, it just connects you with parts of your body that is just embracing that which you're enjoying. Just feel into your womb space, feel into your pelvic bones, feel into your sexual organs. Just breathe. You just invite your body to let go of whatever that is showing up. Just let go, release. Just invite the sound, invite the breath in. What are your desires? Where are you not allowing yourself to really anchor in pleasure? What are you afraid of when you just imagine of letting go? Might be having some memories, just something that might need you to dive deep because it's traumatic. It bringing in something where it's kind of like, I'm not ready to deal with that. And this is what I talk about when I say our mutual agreement is that you are whole and you are an action taker. And you are not going to abandon your body because it's bringing in some things, some memories. Your heart is feeling some heartaches of something. Just feel into that heartbeat, because our womb, it kind of like, it has a life of its own. But when they are in sync, you feel that heartbeat and that womb beat. As you know, when you are carrying a child inside, you can feel the child when it's kicking. There is that as well in our womb space. But at times you are not able to feel it because of some experiences that you had, because of that disconnection that I talk about to your pleasure, because of shame, because that's what this really disconnects us to source. And the mind is like, I cannot do it, I cannot have that, because the mind is just operating from this, what is just right here and right now. But when you anchor in and connect to source, you are able to connect to source, to the abundance, prosperity, to the universe, to our infinite creator aspects. And you know that you are a multidimensional being of light. And you can tap into that multidimensional strength that is here, right now. Just take a breath in there and just thank your heart, thank your womb space, thank your body for all that it has brought up. And what are you promising it? What is your action from this? What are you willing to take action on from whatever the insights that your body has brought through? From the insights that your mind has just, because at times mind brings in some experiences of some things that has happened, because it's like past experiences. Are you willing to just let them to live that life, to relive those experiences over and over again? Or you just gonna make yourself a promise to yourself to say, this ends here? I'm willing to choose a new way of being. I'm willing to open up to my body so that I can embrace more. I can create more. I can fulfill my soul's deepest desires. And I'll leave us here, and I'm just hoping we can dive deep in this sometime when we are present and we can share some experiences about the shame that we had. Because I talk about really having that experience. One experience that comes through, which was like a big one, was when I was separated with my children. And as a mother, you can imagine connecting with your children and giving birth to them, raising them, and then eventually you find yourself powerless, and you can't even be with your children. It's kind of like what's the worst shame to really feel when it comes to that? But the more you dive deeper and work on this, the more you come out powerful. Like you get to go in and bring in the power that is within, that is not outside. Because even money, we judge ourselves based on money. And we forget that we are infinite creators. We create money. Money does not create us. There is no power, there's no price that you can put on yourself. But if you're just operating from the human and judging yourself from the human, you are bound to limit yourself. But when you connect more to source and remember who you are, there is more. And connect, like I said, to your multidimensional strength and bring in your multidimensional wisdom, gifts, abundance, prosperity, bliss, joy. But using all of that from pleasure, from joy, rather than being driven by fear. Because the mind will bring in some experience also, it's not safe. And it's very loud. But our soul has got nothing to prove. The message is there, but it's subtle. Share me what came through for you as you are listening to this, and I cannot wait to hear your insights and what you are willing to act on in your wholeness, because you are whole. Use pleasure as a source of power and insight. Soul messages in your womb. It is also your power center of money. Much love, beloved ones. I cannot wait to hear what came up for you. Just invite your body to let go, to release all of that so that you can experience more of you. I see you. Much love, beloved ones. Have an amazing, beautiful, orgasmic evening, day, night, wherever you are.